Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jay Burgess Consulting Incorporated Facebook Live page. We're also streaming onto YouTube for this. So we hope that you'll join us and jump into the comments. Please let us know who you are, where you're coming from. And you can any comment over there is going to be entered to win a book tonight. So that's exciting. We're going to choose a winner of a book probably tomorrow morning. So even if you're watching this on playback, make sure you throw a comment in there and it'll be entered in to be randomly chosen for a free book. And we are here on a very special occasion, and that is a book birthday. Man, do we love book birthdays at Dayburs Consulting Inc. And this is a super exciting one because I have Andy Jacks here with me tonight. So Andy, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. Super excited to be here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for letting me on.
Absolutely. And look at this. We got Ryan Reed already popping
Yeah,
in.
Ryan. Ryan, what's up, buddy?
Yes. All right. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. And we have Tara joining us too.
Nice.
Long Island, New York. Strong Island is in the house.
Long Island. Long Island.
All right.
Nice. Tara.
Thanks for joining us very much. I appreciate that. And okay, let's see. We have Lisa is joining us as well. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, it is a great topic tonight. Yeah. That's true. And so the book that we're here to celebrate, my copy just arrived.
What? I haven't even seen the copy yet. That is literally the first time I've actually seen that book. Oh my gosh.
Physical copy. It is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that.
Oh, that's surreal. That is surreal.
Yeah. Hey, surreal. Jay Billy's in the house too. Look at this.
My man, Jay. Yes.
Madama Nick from Winnipeg. We even have Madama Nick here from Winnipeg joining us. And oh, how about this? Tara Martin. Again, I always like to say Tara used to host these Facebook Lives, but you know, I've just taken over. So it's good. It's always good to see you in the comments, though, Tara. You know, and sooner we'll get you back in here on Thursday. I think that's what we're planning on doing, right? Okay. And so, hey, the subtitle of this book: Strategies to Improve Behavior, Increase Ownership, and Give Every Student a Chance. Andy, tell us a little bit about why you chose to write a book on this particular topic.
You know, and I love, again, I got to say first, it's surreal. I'm at the legend right here. The pirate, the legend. I got to say, just that alone is just an honor. And it's surreal. I wrote this book out of two things, out of frustration with not having enough answers, and with just a passion to make sure that even when we went through really difficult times with discipline, that we can still keep the students' integrity and emotions and our own self-discipline at the core of the whole thing. I felt I've been a principal for a long time now, like 12 years, an administrator and a teacher, education a long time. And I think school discipline is one of the toughest challenges of schools and school improvement, what teachers are dealing with, what administrators are dealing with. So I just went head on to one of the toughest issues I could, because I know that's what we were dealing with in school every single day. And when I went to this topic, I thought, why don't we have more answers? What are these answers? Why can't we suspend kids more? Why can't we do all these other, disciplinary consequences more? And what I found out just rocked my world and changed my complete worldview on the topic of school discipline. It totally did. And my experiences and the research just kind of just molded together into this new sort of philosophy on discipline, where I do think we can win even through these challenging times. And we need to think about being that winning mindset. Like Herm Edwards said, the Jets coach, we play to win the game, right? And I think with schools, that's when we're in that like mindset where we do have agency, we do have self-efficacy, we can make things happen, then it keeps us not only more effective, but also happier, which teachers and administrators deserve to be in school.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And hey, again, thank you to everyone who's joining in and popping into the comments. Really appreciate you joining in. Also, if you happen to have a question around this topic for Andy, feel free to throw that in there. I'll try to throw it up on the screen and we can talk about it. So Andy, one of the things I love about your book is I think too many people, when they hear the word discipline, immediately what they think is punishment. They think consequences and suspensions, all these kind of things like this. I think you have such a more positive approach to it. It's about embracing that whole child and trying to create a powerful relationship with them and with parents as well. Mm-hmm. And as opposed to looking at ways to punish kids. And so maybe you kind of talk to us about that mindset a little bit.
Right. The traditional approach to school discipline is shame and blame and exclusion. And it's really about us versus them mentality. And what I found firsthand is that as an administrator, become me versus the teacher versus the parent, me versus, and really should be the opposite of that. We should be constantly coming together for the common goal of educating and progressing the students in front of us. And so, but that is not really our fault in a lot of ways. That traditional approach has been ingrained in our educational system and in the way we grew up for years. So really coming around to it, it kept coming down to is, what can we do to be much more strategic and progressive when it comes to the discipline? Because you can't do nothing. You have to do something. It's not about letting kids do whatever they want. It's not about just saying you have to deal with it, teachers. Absolutely not. In fact, it's the exact opposite of that. We have to have very high expectations. We have to make sure that our kids are behaving and our schools are safe. But ultimately, that approach has to be about growing relationships. You can't consequence kids into caring about your school, and caring about your school and that culture of inclusion and support is really what's going to turn the lives around for the kids in front of you. And it's a special job we have. It's so amazing job that we have. And we can't let this one area of school bog us all down and make our jobs just miserable. We can get better through these things, but it's not easy.
Yeah. And, I think there really couldn't be better timing for this book, because I'm seeing in all the conversations I'm having with educators, really behavior is kind of off the charts right now.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are struggling as kids have been out of school for so long and off campus and in different set, and then coming back, and people are going a little crazy out there right now.
Yeah.
And so, we had the viral TikTok challenge and all these kind of things that people were talking about and addressing. And, school discipline, it's just, like you said, it has to be part of any program that you have, part of any improvement plan. If you want to reach these ultimate higher reaching goals, of empowering kids, this is something that we have to tackle as well.
And on top of that, you can't get to this special place as a school without integrating social skills and behavior, working on, improving behavior. All that goes together with academics. Too much we're focusing on academics will lift up kids. Well, they will, but not if you don't do the whole child piece of it. It's intelligence and character. That's what Dr. King said are the key to education. Both are super important. But when we look at our schedules in education, how many times in our schedule, our daily schedules, is there behavior management, or social skills, or social awareness, or self-discipline, all these SEL skills that we know are super important. But if it's not on our schedule, then it really shows that we don't truly value those things in our schools. So for our school, for so many schools out there, I know we're trying to work on this, is we have to create a priority to teach our kids proactively how to reflect, how to align themselves toward their goals, and ultimately put them in the owner's seat, in the driver's seat of their future. Because if they do take more ownership, they feel like they can affect the world around them, then they are more likely to behave and to do the things that they want to do. We have so many kids that just don't care, right? And COVID hurt that a lot of times because they're disconnected from school. Parents were disconnected from school. We saw that trend a lot too, where, we're all about pulling people together, but when you physically are distant, it creates a social distance, which also creates, I really don't care about my school. I don't care about my teachers, which is why you see some of these TikTok trends happening right now. It's because those connections and those relationships are separated and distant. And then this is with a byproduct of that. You can't consequence your kids into behaving. It's all about that care and love. And they're not going to do it if they care about you. That's really what it comes down to, right? If they care about you, then they'll have more self-control. That's the number one thing.
Yeah. And so I love what Kim said here. There's always a reason why a child is exhibiting the behavior. They're communicating. It's a communication. And Sean kind of doubled down on this. Well, behavior is not the problems, but the symptoms of problems. And so I think that's both that mindset is something that you address in the book, is that we really have to get down to the roots of what some of this behavior is about.
And really having a process. That's one thing I've learned over the years, is you can't just argue back and forth. You can't just admire the problem with these things. If you really want to affect change, you have to dig down deep and stop and create a real process where it's not me versus you or my way versus your way. It's what's really happening. Why is the child doing what they're doing? What ultimately I think it really comes down to, what do they need from us? And how can we serve that student? How can we support that student getting better? There's too many times that a kid does something wrong and we want to know immediately what the consequence is, like if this, then that. I look at this the other way around. I actually agree with if this, then that, but more on the support side of things. if they do this, what support are we going to give them so they can improve their behavior? Just like in reading or any other subject, if a kid has struggling with reading and they're 2 grade levels below in reading, we have automatic supports and instruction and groups and all this stuff built in that they automatically get. Behavior should be the exact same way. And when we think of it that way, we're in a much more positive growth mindset, knowing that kids, it's not that they haven't behaved, and they can't behave. It's that they haven't behaved yet and they can do these things, but they need to be taught explicitly with clear directions and modeling and all that stuff with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the books are arriving in the wild, Andy. Look at this. Alicia says that the book got the copy of the book today.
Whoa.
So the books are already arriving out in the wild.
Yes.
And so that's exciting. Alicia, we would love it if you throw up a picture of you with that book. We would love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're excited to see these books arrive in people's hands. Besides me, I think, Alicia, you might be the first one to get a copy of the book. And so that's super exciting.
I don't have it yet. I need to see your pictures, everybody, so I can see what it looks like. I'm excited about that.
Ooh, here we go. Kristen's popping in here. Thank you, saying hello. Heard there's a book birthday popping in. Awesome. And here we have, I like this too. It's about helping the child as a whole and not as a Band-Aid over a behavior. Yes.
Yeah. And can I talk on that for a second? Tara, I agree with you. There's too many times we try to quickly just take care of this behavior and then get back to what we call like business of school. Well, I think dealing and teaching kids how to behave is the business of school. So one of the things I really stress is to slow down this idea. We have to, get past this onto something else. This is the most important thing we're dealing with most of the time. And once we really truly investigate the situation and slow down, we often find out things that we didn't know were happening or that we didn't realize was going on behind the scenes. And that helps us make better decisions.
Yeah. And I also love what you said about being intentional about teaching these things. If we want to see a certain type of behavior, then we have to teach it. We can't expect kids to do things which we're not teaching. And when, like you gave the example of the reading, if this, then that, here are the instructions, the support. And if you take that with the way traditionally behavior is handled, it would be sort of like saying, oh, you're struggling reading that right now? Go sit outside the door.
Right. And worse than that, and Dave, worse than that, why? You should have known already how to read.
Yeah.
Didn't your parents teach you how to read? Your parents are doing a terrible job because they didn't teach you how to read, right? That's the similar mindset. So, but the cool thing is when you approach the whole idea of discipline and management in the classroom differently, it helps you actually enjoy your job better. I couldn't be more happy in my work as a school leader. I think for me, it created a lot of peace in my job, and even dealing with craziest behaviors. And just be more mentally prepared. I talk in the book a lot about being a first responder because I truly believe that educators are also first responders. We need our own stripe on the flag, the first responder stripe, the different colors. We need our own one because we are on the front lines. We're a lot of times the first one to deal with some serious issues from students. And the more that we are physically and mentally prepared and know what to do, the better we will be able to actually be more effective, but also less stress as well.
Yeah. And I see Sean popped in here. Not only teach behavior, but also model it, embody it, like you're talking about. Like if you can respond in a more peaceful and controlled way, then you're going to de-escalate. A lot of times you see educators escalate conflict by how they react to it, as opposed to reacting in a way which is going to de-escalate conflict.
Yeah, it's like Ice Cube said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. So much of school discipline is self-discipline on what we can do. And something I had to learn the hard way so many times is we can't control anybody else around us. I physically can't control, as much as you want to do prizes and punishments and all these different things, I can't physically control anybody. All I can really do is control myself and what I do. So if I want to change something in somebody else, I have to think about what I can do different. And that's not a blaming teachers or blaming administrators, not far from it. It is not your fault for these behaviors, but that doesn't mean we can't do something about it. And that piece is really important to know that I can affect these behaviors and I will affect these behaviors because you also need that determination and that sort of stubbornness. A lot of times I say we need to out-stubborn our most stubborn kids, right? They need to know that I'm not going anywhere. And I've said that to kids before, I'm here for you, whether you want me to be or not right now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for you. And I'm going to be with you throughout this whole thing.
Yeah. And at some deep level, they feel that, they sense that.
Oh, yeah.
And in the moment, they might act like they don't care, but they do. They do care. Yep. And that adult is going to stay with them and stick with them through that situation. I think it's super important. Okay. And who knew that Andy was going to be dropping Ice Cube lyrics tonight? Amazing. I love it. I love it. It's like hitting me right where I love.
Oh, watch out. We'll do some Warren G with regulators. We got regulators mount up. We need to teach our kids how to regulate their their emotions, what they're dealing with. And now more than ever, if you look at society, you see how difficult it is to deal with all the noise around us. And how do we expect kids to be able to deal with that? And the kids are feeling everything that's happening around us right now. So more than ever, education and schools need to be the rock, the stability, the calm, and the peace. And that doesn't mean we can't be enthusiastic and passionate, but they have to know that when they come to school, they can count on us, no matter what behaviors that they do. I'm not looking to kick them out of school. I have a no suspension rule right now where I refuse to kick kids out of school. Because for me, one of the things that I was so aware I found out about is in all the research, suspensions do not work to change behavior. In fact, there are so many negative side effects of suspensions that if you start suspending kids, your school, based on all that, is typically not going to feel safe or actually be safer because of it. Once I got called out by parents on this, and once they said to me things like, Dr. Jax, I thought you're about all kids. Are you about my kid right now and they need you? And that to me was one of those things that just rocked my world. And I thought, I can't be a hypocrite. If I'm really about all kids, and I have to be about them, even when it is the most challenging ever. What I've come to realize is when things get that challenging, when things get so difficult, you know what that means? That means I'm usually in the right place at the right time is what that means. And for educators, it helps to have that same kind of mindset because this job is hard, but you are tough and you can deal with this too.
Yeah. Well, and that's early in the book, I think in the introduction of the book, you talk about that moment with that parent and that kid, and you're ready to give a suspension, and the parent called you out. Like, hey, I thought you're about all kids. What about my kid right now? How is this going to help my kid? And that's kind of where you change that whole mindset. And like you said, it rocked your world.
It did. And that's okay. Sometimes we need that disconnect to drive us to do something better. And I think for me, it actually created a much happier place too, a much more satisfying, calming place. I found out that for once at that point, my actions and my attitude and my belief system and my talk started to really, truly align. So when I say certain things out there, people not truly believe I mean what I say with that thing. Whereas sometimes we say one thing about we're here to support you, but if you do something wrong, then I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to get rid of you. And I, like you said earlier, everyone can feel that. Teachers can feel it if I say that to them. I have to believe it with my teachers too. Like same thing. I have to let them know that I'm there to support them and care for them no matter what. It all trickles down because that culture of support is very contagious and kids are directly affected by that. There's a piece about social learning that is so phenomenal about kids are constantly watching and learning on everything we do, and how we interact with each other, how we interact with them and their families is complete modeling for what they are going to be as adults.
Yeah. I see Kristen mentions that she saw this book on Twitter, put it in the queue, but then, has it moved over to the shopping cart possibly? Maybe it's moved over to the shopping cart. And thank you, Susan. Susan's book is on the way.
Yeah, Sue.
So there we go. So another book is going to be appearing in the wild very soon. Make sure you throw that picture up when the book arrives. We really appreciate that. We love to see people getting their books, and we can't wait to see your takeaways. And so that's one of the things that we love about DBC Inc. books, and that's what we love about Andy's book too, is we don't like books that are just theory. We like books that get implemented, books that change practice. And so when you find something in the book that's going to change your practice, that you're going to implement, and it's going to appear in classrooms with kids and real school systems, like we would love to hear how you're using these ideas and what kind of impact it's having on kids.
Yeah, and going back to that, for this book, like literally, I have to thank the teachers I've been working with for so many years, because we were going through really tough issues, and I tried to like instill this belief of, all of our kids, no matter what, but then they come with questions, and teachers deserve answers. They deserve solutions. So I really dug deep on, okay, I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything about this stuff. And so I need to learn more. And so this book was written to give teachers and educators and principals like this sort of package of, this isn't everything in discipline. There's so many great books and stuff out there. This is one take on discipline that is very uplifting and motivational, but there's very specific strategies within the book in each chapter that you can use, how to follow through with interventions that you already have in place, because that's a key piece of this. So many times we look for that magical cure that's out there somewhere. But one of the first things you can do is look inward as to the things that you're doing and make sure you're doing with fidelity and follow through. And that alone will make a huge impact on the behaviors and make sure that kids are making progress.
Yeah. And Tara has dropped the book link in a couple times here for if you're looking to pick up Discipline Win. go ahead and jump over to Amazon, grab that book. I should mention that is a #1 bestseller in 2 different categories right now, in experimental education methods and in educational administration. So it's the #1 new release in those 2 categories on its second day. And yesterday, even with Facebook and Instagram being down basically all day, just what you want, Andy, is finally it's your book release day, and 2 of the biggest social media platforms in the world go down.
Yeah, I think someone told me my book broke the internet, but I like to think that way.
I love what Kim says here, Andy. Kim's going to read it together with one of her favorite colleagues.
Yeah.
And so, and both of the books are ordered. It's a fantastic book to do as a book study, as a staff, to read with a department, to read with a colleague, and to have someone that you're able to bounce ideas off of and talk about implementation.
Right. I try to add a lot of stories that were, I don't name students and all that. This is very sort of generically done with stories, but I want to make sure that people understand there's real stuff happening in schools and there's ways to get through those situations. And I got to be honest, some of the stories in there aren't me saying I did an awesome job with this. A lot of stories are stories where I didn't do very well, and here's why I didn't do well. And here's something I learned from that experience that changed me to be actually better at my job. And I think that's critical for us to share too. It's not just those success stories, but those times where we struggled. Those are good ones to share as well.
Yeah. Well, I think that really shows the authenticity too, that, you're willing to show, you struggle just like everybody else does. Lisa, thank you. So Lisa is looking for guidance, and this is very practical. This isn't pipe dream kind of stuff. These are real practical ideas that you can implement, Lisa. So I think you're gonna love the book. Jay Billy has ordered the book, coming tomorrow. All right, I can't wait for you to get your book, Jay. That's fantastic. Glad to see that. And now something else about this book, which is pretty special, is there's this guy, the relentless tattooed skateboarding principal. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this guy before, but Hamish is who wrote the foreword for the book. So, but it's kind of a little quid pro quo thing, because I know somebody that wrote the foreword for Relentless for Hamish Brewer, and that's Andy Jacks. And so now you guys kind of he returned the favor and he dropped the foreword in your book as well.
So in his foreword, him and I talk about this all the time about the napkin. So we had a story where we wrote our goals down on a napkin one time because we were just so frustrated with where we were. We knew we could do more. And this is one of those napkin moments where Hamish crossing off the napkin on the napkin. It's definitely a bucket list item for me to have this put together. And Hamish is a great way to start this book, because he talks about love in schools and about how that just relentless attitude we need to do to make sure that these kids are successful. So his foreword is so fantastic as a way to start this book off. And I can't thank him enough for all of his guidance and friendship over the years, for sure.
Yeah, we're super excited to have him in there with the foreword, and it is a perfect start to the book, and really helps out. So I love that. Now, another thing I think is important for people to know, Andy, is that you're not someone who just wrote a book about discipline who hasn't been in a school building for 20 years or something like that. Yeah. In fact, tonight you're about to jump off this and have 2 open houses in the same night, 2 different schools. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what are you up to?
Yeah, so I've been principal of Ashland Elementary School for 12 years, and I just got promoted to principal at the Nokesville School, which is a kindergarten through 8th grade school. So not just elementary, but elementary and middle school all combined. So right now my school is about anywhere from 800 to 900 students typically, and that one's about 1,200 students or so. And excited to join the team over there. Nokesville's a fantastic school, and I just want to help serve. I'm excited to work more with middle school students as well in that role. I have 3 kids, and 2 of them are at the middle school level, and I still have 1 at elementary school. But I gotta say, half my heart will always be here at Ashland, and it's been such a great experience here as well. But part of that growth journey for ourselves is to keep learning and growing and trying new things. And I wouldn't be here and who I was without the experiences of all the people I've worked with over the years. So really big shout out to all my teachers I've been working with. They're just so fantastic. And, if administrators get stuck, my one piece of advice is go to your best teachers. Go find those teachers, go observe them, go see what they do. It's hard to talk to them about it. I got to warn you, because so many of them don't even know why they do what they do. They don't even know how to explain what they do. It is like just in their soul, in their being, who they are. But watch the little techniques that they use, because the best teachers are prepared and they really reach out with their heart. It's not just about the specific activities they line up. they're just always on it. And I'm going to circle back around to something we talked about earlier, Dave, with that TikTok challenge. So much of that is, just being all over these kids all the time, making sure that we're connected with them all the time, especially those high flyers that we know may have some issues. I just got to be on them all the time. I'm here for you. I'm watching. I'm with you. Remember, you do something, it's me and you. And if you do something with the school, then that reflects on me as well. So we're in this thing together. And the more that they see you just always around, it's like Batman, right? You just never know where you're going to pop up and show up. And then that has such a tremendous effect. But, watch those teachers, because they're doing that nonstop. The best teachers are not just showing the rules at the beginning of the year and then they just coast the rest of the year. The best teachers are doing the rules and the expectations and the norms and the reminders and the teaching every day through the last day of school, because it matters so much to them all. So, a really big shout out to all those teachers out there just grinding away, doing the rules, especially this year, because I know it's definitely a tough year.
Yeah. And then we just love the fact that you're a practitioner and you're out there and you're doing this stuff right now. What you're writing about, you are actually doing, you're implementing in your school. You're about to implement in a new school as you move to the new school. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we love to do, is to find practitioners who are doing great work and amplify their voices. And this is a great voice indeed. Everybody, please go out and buy Discipline Win. It is fantastic. You're going to love it. And Andy's got such a unique approach on discipline and how to look at it. And we can't wait to hear all the stories as these books arrive and start to get used in schools. Andy, I know that you speak on this topic too. If someone wants to connect with you either on social media, or someone wants to bring you in and help implement this stuff in their school system, speak at their conference, whatever it might be, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can go to my website, andyjax.com, or you can hit me up on social media, _AndyJax, Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, happy to work with you. I love collaborating with schools and teachers, because I like you said, I'm a practitioner, and I'm not leaving the job. I love the job. I love working with kids directly. I love, working with staff, and I love doing that for other schools too, because I think this is such a hard topic that we all need help with it. We need help, sometimes outside help, sometimes inside help. So hit me up. We could talk about what you need.
Fantastic. So make sure you connect with Andy. He's wonderful. And pick up the book. We want to thank you so much for joining us in the Facebook Live. If you are just watching and you haven't thrown a comment in yet, please put a comment in, so maybe you can win a book tonight. And we want to especially welcome you and have you join us on Thursdays for our free professional development on this channel as well. Andy, congratulations on the release of your book. Congratulations on the early success of it already. And thank you so much for trusting DBC Inc. to be your publisher. We really appreciate having you in the family.
It's been an honor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. I can't wait for people to enjoy and connect with this. And it's just such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody, we're going to send Andy off to his open house, and we're so glad that you joined us. Bye-bye, everybody.